Welcome to this special episode of Writer and Books. I'm very honored to have with me Mr. Tarek Fatah, who is is your first visit to India, and you always
Yes, it
claim
is.
to be an Indian born in Pakistan. I was watching your video interview in some Canadian Urdu channel in which you claim the first time you tried to cross over through the
Oh
Wagah
yes,
border,
yes, yes.
you stepped and some colonel scolded you and
Yes, this was just after the 71 war, and both countries had prisoners of war. Well, the Indians had a whole lot. We had about a few hundred, but the POW parcels would get exchanged under the ICRC. And I was a reporter with Pakistan Television, so I noticed there's a white chalk line, and I've got a clip from a 16 film which I've printed out. I stepped over and pretended that I had just crossed, and I just heard a very loud voice from and
was it an Indian colonel or?
it was yeah, obviously Pakistani colonels don't shout loud. They were looking for barfi and pan that came from the believe me, at those junctures the only conversation that would be, sir aapke paas pan hai, yahan khatam ho gaya.
You also, I remember watching one of your interviews in which you mentioned 71 mein withdraw, surrender karne ke baad they asked for a whiskey.
Yes, the main issue was what I hear is the film Mehbooba, no, General Tiger Niazi wanted to have scotch and watch a film, a very famous Indian at that time. And so General Arora said, why not, we both come from the British Army, old chap, I'll get you whiskey and a movie. Okay, go ahead, keep your sidearms. And war criminals walked away free. General Jacobs was in his sense of dignity, and General Arora, they let all the murdering colonels and brigadiers, and in fact in the 24-hour period where General Jacobs was negotiating with this, and Tiger Niazi was contemplating, although the idiot couldn't think ahead of his time, they took 24 hours to massacre every known intellectual academic in Dhaka city.
Yeah.
And once that was done, they said, no problem, now we'll surrender, and the Indians let them walk free.
So we're going to talk about Mr. Fatah's book, which is no more in print in India, Chasing a Mirage, the Tragic Illusion of Islamic State. More than the book, we'd like to talk to him about the upcoming Pakistan elections and of course what's happening in Bangladesh. You might have read my cover on the movement in Shahbag Square in Dhaka. Let me begin. You mentioned Dhaka. What do you make about the situation that's happening? And we did see a few bloggers now being arrested by the government. Do you think, I mean, at one point people thought that Awami League was pro these movement, and now suddenly?
Well, Awami League is pro. You have to understand that these are very exciting times, as well as scary times for the entire Muslim world. Because if the bloggers and the secular Muslims succeed in Dhaka, then we have the first counter-revolution after 1979 staged against Islamofascism anywhere, and one of the most unlikely places. And the Arabs and Iranians and the Turks and the other high racial categories of Muslims who find Bangladeshis to be at the lowest end because it's dark color, low height, not human, white, super height, Arab, top class. In that structure, if at the bottom of the perceived Muslim ladder there is a coup and a defeat of Islamofascism, is going to trickle down to India. And not just that, it will be a defeat of the Pakistan ISI, because I can tell you, and by the way, the Turkish Islamists who've been able to fool the Americans by appearing as secular and liberal, they fooled everyone else in the world. They are primarily behind the notion that Hasina Wajid, the Prime Minister Hasina Sheikh, should not be allowed to succeed because the Constitution has ruled secularism as its founding principle, and citizenship in Bangladesh shall not be based on inherited race or religion. That's the only Muslim country that, other than Indonesia, that has moved in this direction. So it's very significant. I don't think that Prime Minister Hasina Wajid has moved against the bloggers because she believes they're wrong. I think she's making that tactical mistake that Zulfikar Ali Bhutto made in 1977 when he said, well, I'm facing Islamists, what should I do? I should outdo them. And he banned alcohol in Pakistan. Then when he failed, he said, well, let's take Sunday off, make Friday a holiday. He banned race courses. Then he so it's a huge error being made in a tactical. It's not a strategic error. She can correct this and still win. I'm afraid that the Jamaat-e-Islami and associate jihadis are different in Bangladesh than they are in other parts, in that the jihadis don't need money. They run a billion taka or whatever it is, a commercial complex. They employ 1 million people. They can take it. They can give a day off and get 1 million people on the streets. In Pakistan, those 1 million jihadis come out from the madrasa system. If the day is off, all the madrasas are off, we can get 100,000 on the streets in a minute. Now that scares the wits out of any politician who doesn't understand the power of fascism. But I believe the Awami League does, and I hope they do, and don't and call their bluff, and to bring it on. Let's have an election.
But tell me, irrespective of how Awami League deals with the situation, has already a mark being made in among the Muslims in South Asia with Shahbag movement?
Not really, because Shahbag bloggers or liberal secular Muslims also tried to do the PR mistake of saying we are not associated with the political movement. Now, this is the NGOization of the political movement around the world, that in my generation of youth, people joined political parties and had to pay money. In today's enlightened progressive youth, you join a political movement to get paid. You look for employment in NGOs, you know. So whereas we were giving membership fees of 4 ane party membership to the NSF or the National Army Party, which was equivalent to left of Congress in Pakistan, Bacha Khan's party. Today, all those guys say, well, I've joined an NGO that's about Earth going warm or some. All of this gives the right wing a complete ground. NGO politics is safe, it's rich, most of them are upper middle class or upper class people. It doesn't affect change, it just makes you feel good. The Bangladesh bloggers, I think, are slipping into that mistake by saying, we're not politically involved. Well, you're doing politics. You're not doing gardening in Shahbag Square. You have to stand up and say this is what. And their main demand being the death penalty is the wrong demand. They should be against capital punishment.
That's been one of the criticisms, that if you're already wanting a death penalty, then what's the need
yes,
of having
but that's pot calling kettle black. The jihadis love to behead. What is their criticism of the bloggers? They should be joining the bloggers. They love bloodshed.
So tell me, are you optimistic about a possible sort of...
I'm optimistic because scientifically the world progresses. I'm a dialectical materialist. You can't go back to the 12th century. You might try to rearrange the digits, but still the 21st, right? So I believe that human progress cannot be stopped. That is why the jihadis will lose. But human progress happens in elliptical cycles in a trend that is for the future. We might be at a lower end of a cycle after the fall of the Berlin Wall, where the left doesn't know where its keel is or what to do with a broken rudder. So they're all over the place, floating around, not knowing how to act. The real villains in this are the left-wing parties of India, who have abandoned the Bangladeshi secularists in their fascination, in their alliance with what I call Sharia Bolshevism. So the Communist Party of India has some deep affection for Ahmadinejad. They dare not ever criticize Hamas or Hezbollah, who are fascists. They will never ever speak against, because they're tied around some notion that we are anti-imperialist. But what they are actually is anti-American. They're not anti-imperialists.
Interesting. Coming to Pakistan, I mean, you always call yourself Indian born in Pakistan, and tell us a bit about how you left Pakistan, because I was reading somewhere that you moved to Saudi first and then you went on to take up Canadian citizenship.
Well, I have the privilege of being jailed by every dictator that Pakistan has seen. First two, Ayub Khan in 68, I was in prison, and in 70 when Yahya Khan was there, we went to prison. By 77, I was a reporter in Pakistan television. And when General Zia came, this was the first Islamofascist, and it came from a confluence of three forces that took place. 79, you have the Iranian Revolution. 77, 78, you have Bhutto hanged, and the Sunni equivalent to Khomeini, and the Russians move into Kabul, and where a counter coup is taking place against your Mumbai former cab driver Nur Muhammad Taraki. You didn't know that, did you? No, he drove a cab in Mumbai. That's why he was an urban Pashtun. He was one of Ghaffar Khan type of Pashtuns. He was assassinated, killed in his bed by. So anyway, by 1980, you got the world set up for the last battle against communism. The troops being used in this is not the GI Joes or the some famous infantry or the 101 airborne. They've got suckers lined up by the hundreds of thousands. So the jihad begins, and now they change Pakistan forever, where I can't even greet people the way I greeted them. Over for 1,000 years, people greeted each other or said Khuda Hafiz to go by, or adab was a way of saying welcome. Nobody does that.
It became Allah Hafiz.
Allah became Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum became Assalamu alaikum. The dupatta disappeared and a hijab came. The sari is extinguished. The Punjabi Muslim considered it a great insult to talk in his language. Punjab Parliament, you can't speak in Punjabi. Lahore Book Festival, no Punjabi book, no Punjabi author. And as great a revolutionary Punjabi as Tarek Ali speaking over there is talking on a forum where it says the future of Urdu in Punjab. Why? Because there's Arabic, there's Persian, then on sidetrack Turkish, then there's the holy Urdu, and then there's the crap languages of Punjabi, Bengali, Sindhi, Balochi, Tamil, Malayali. All that is in the garbage bin. We are Arab Punjabis, right? So we don't speak Arabic, so what will we do? We'll speak Urdu. You've destroyed the soul, the very soul of a people of not 3% of the population as it is in India. 65% of the people of Pakistan are not allowed to go to school and study their own language. Not because someone else has told them, but they themselves have convinced themselves that they are never to be considered as the riffraff of society. So they want to accomplish high Urdu culture of Lucknow. Their poets are Bulleh Shah and Baba Farid, but they pretend it is Mirza Ghalib and Mir Taqi Mir, which is not the case. Sindhi has been destroyed. The Balochi language is destroyed, but Baloch are systematically being eliminated.
So that's when you sort of decide to move out?
I decided to move out because when I got fired from television on sedition charges, the accusation, the proclamation was that you cannot take a job in Pakistan.
Okay.
So there was no journalism in Saudi Arabia, so what best does a reporter do? It becomes an advertising copywriter.
Okay.
So I don't mind. I think it was very enriching to figure out what sells, I learned that selling lipstick, you sell kissable lips, you don't sell paste. That's phenomenal, and most journalists don't know that. But so 10 years I had fun, but then when my daughter turned 10, the requirement was that she should wear the abaya, which is and that's when Nargis, my wife, and we decided not going to happen.
Okay.
And we couldn't move to Pakistan because General Zia had not yet died. God decided that he'll take his life after I had decided to move to Canada. So we moved over there. And we
But how does a, may I use the word communist for you, decide to?
No, I'm a Marxist. I'm not
You're
a
Marxist.
communist. I'm not fit enough to be in the discipline of the CPP or the CPI. But I'm a Marxist. I'm a social democrat of the left, yes.
Tell me, how do you read the upcoming elections? I think May, Pakistan is going to have an election, and a lot of, especially in India, a lot of hype around two people whom a lot of Pakistanis say really don't matter. One is Musharraf, the other is Imran Khan. Especially the Indian middle class, let me say the South Delhi elite loves these two people.
They love them because they speak what I call Shusta Urdu, and the other guys has, I think, gives sexual arousal to a whole lot of upper middle class Indian women, I would suggest. And the other guy puts on an act of a Punjabi accent when actually he's a Dilliwala. So you got two fake people, one very dangerous because he's an idiot fascist, the other very dangerous because he's a complete crook, and he should be tried under the Army Act and put before a firing squad, not because that's what I want, but that's what the
code
says. He staged a coup. He has amassed an enormous fortune, but he won't win a seat. But Imran Khan typifies everything that's wrong about the Pakistani Punjabi, which is that sooner or later God will send us a salad.
But he's not a Punjabi.
What else is he?
Isn't he Pathan?
I beg your pardon. When did you have idiots like that as Pashtuns? Pashtuns are not stupid.
Okay.
He comes from, he's the Punjabi who acts Pathan.
Okay.
Musharraf is the Dilliwala who acts Punjabi.
Okay.
Pakistan is a fake country created by a man who faked his Muslimness. He faked his cigars. He faked a country. He faked the two-nation theory. He faked everything because he was paid by the Nawabs of Uttar Pradesh, who later on you gifted it to Pakistan and destroyed Karachi. So the entire country is essentially Punjabi Muslims who attempt to be UPites and UP immigrants who pretend to be victimized in Karachi and destroyed a Sindhi city, committed genocide of the Sindhi and the Gujarati languages. So it's a completely artificial, messed up exercise, and that's why I'm writing my book, Jinnah's Orphans, because all of us are his orphans. Not just the country, not just India that was amputated on both sides by him, but you and me. I mean, I can tell you that Chennai or Madras, as it was known, had a very large Muslim Pashtun population. You will never hear that, but that's how things were. So they've destroyed 5,000 years of history. Is one man. 5 million people have died since that idiot said that I have a dream. And I'm not talking of Martin Luther King, I'm talking of a crap that wished to be that way and wiped out everything. So Pakistani elections don't matter. The election is primarily about who the Punjabi Muslim with his serious inferiority complex chooses to be the next Saladin, and they've been running after Jinnah, then they ran after Ayub Khan, then they ran after Yahya Khan, then they ran after Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, and all of them keep getting worse as fascists as they go along. They are now the main supply center of the international jihad, and they refuse to acknowledge that they are Indians born in Punjab. They refuse to acknowledge that Lahore is a city named after the son of Ram. How could anyone be so dumb and have produced anything? So my feeling is that out of sheer practical necessity, the Nawaz brothers might pull it off with the largest number of seats.
Okay.
And
but do you think the army would be comfortable with them?
I mean, doesn't matter. It's like a Rotary Club electing the next president. It's just exciting. It's like watching one of these TV shows, you know, the dance drama ones when people come and sing and win an award. That's it. They have no power. As long as the ISI is under the control of the military, cornflakes, pencils, banks, transportation, agricultural lands, everything is run by the Pakistan military industrial complex. Okay? The most honest lieutenant that starts in the army retires as a multimillionaire by doing nothing wrong, because the system is structured in a way that he will retire as a landowner, a feudal landowner, who will then be automatically employed as the vice president of some multinational corporation or a state corporation, and then grow a beard and become very pious. The people who do stand for reason, the Pervez Hood boys, the Najam Sethis of this world, the Sheri Rahmans, the Awami National Party, the government in Pakhtunkhwa, the Baloch fighting for their freedom, they want to get out of this system. You are taking Baloch guerrilla fighters. Instead of charging them, you take them in helicopters, the dead bodies fall down. And the latest is that they are missing their kidneys, their organs, their heart, which are being sold in the black market of organ traffickers. Those war crimes are being committed by this army, and so the army allows these elections because it's entertainment for them. And then they can wear the cravats and the scarves. The whiskey generals will go to the gymkhanas, and the bearded generals will go to the madrasas. So watch the Pakistan elections for entertainment. If you want to do something, Indian people need to assert secularism and individual human rights as their value system, whether it is coming from Ashoka or whether it's coming from the earliest Vedas or it's coming from the Muslim saints who came there, or it comes from Dara Shikoh. Dara Shikoh is Indian Islam, and if Indian Muslims don't stand up and take ownership of it, the Pakistanis, be prepared for any time an idiot in Pakistan dropping a nuclear bomb on one of your cities.
Thank you, Mr. Fatah. I must say, I ended a very depressing note.
No, it's not depressing, because we can always fight and win.
Okay. But 65 years down the lane, we're still fighting on the same thing that we've...
It's a 1,000-year battle. What is 65 years?
Thanks a lot for talking to us.